AS Biology. Welcome. Are you excited for a fun learning session? Make sure you have your book and a pen before we start. Today you are going to learn about lipids. Lipids. Lipids are fats and they are used throughout the body in making cell membranes. They contain carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. They are insoluble in water, however they are soluble in organic solvents, like alcohols. As well as helping to make cell membranes, lipids provide a variety of functions such as energy source insulation protection, such as over the kidneys waterproofing. Triglycerides are a type of lipid. They are made from I-glycerol and 3 fatty acids. The fatty acid part of the triglyceride is hydrophobic, they repel water. It is these fatty acids that make the lipid insoluble. All fatty acids have the same basic structure, but the R group changes. Triglycerides are formed in condensation reactions, but instead of a glycosidic bond forming an ester bond is formed. This reaction will repeat 2 more times. The ester bond forms between the oxygen on the glycerol and the carbon on the fatty acid. An ester bond is formed between the oxygen. A water molecule is formed when each fatty acid bonds to the glycerol. There are 2 types of fatty acid, saturated and unsaturated. Saturated fatty acids have no doubles bonds between the carbon atoms in the R group. Unsaturated fatty acids have at least 1 double bond between carbons in the R group. 1 double bond is called monounsaturated, more than 1 is polyunsaturated. The bond between carbon and hydrogen stores more energy than the bond between the carbon and carbon. Triglycerides have a higher ratio of carbon-hydrogen bonds, and this makes them an excellent source of energy. Triglycerides contain a lot of energy as a small spaces, and this makes them perfect for energy storage. When triglycerides are broken down, water is released. This one of the reasons that we breathe out water vapor after heavy exercise. The lipids that make up the membranes of the cell are not triglycerides but phospholipids. These are very similar to triglycerides, except that one of the fatty acids has been replaced with a phosphate molecule. The phosphate group is hydrophilic, it attracts water molecules. A phospholipid is made up from a glycerol, 2 fatty acids and a phosphate group. Phospholipid bilayers are made out of 2 layers of phospholipids, and these make up our cell membranes. The hydrophilic heads face out and the tails face in, so they won't come into contact with water. This means that water-soluble substances cannot easily pass through the bilayer. To test for lipids, use the emulsion test. Add ethanol to the sample and shake. Add water. If a milky emulsion forms, then lipids are present. The more emulsion, the more lipids are in the sample.